have been on 99 cruises across 5 continents, and we've made some major mistakes in terms of our destinations. These are the top destinations cruisers are traveling to and the mistakes you must avoid. Hey everyone, what's up? This is Jordan with JJ Cruise. Thank you so much for clicking into the video today. Well, as many of you know, Jared and I are travel agents, and we've been travel agents for a while. We have traveled across the world on cruise ships, and we have made some major mistakes in terms of the destinations that we've traveled to. So today, I'm going to tell you the top 5 destinations that cruisers are currently booking and traveling to, and the mistakes that you must avoid if you decide to book one of these cruises. Before I get into it, I do just want to invite you to subscribe to the channel. This is JJ Cruise. We do all things cruising all the time, and we are on the road to 100,000 subscribers. If you want to join us and you love cruising as much as we do, please hit that subscribe button. And if you want to see more content like this, please go ahead and hit that thumbs up. It's no secret that the cruise industry has exploded post-pandemic, and people are traveling on cruise ship more today than ever before. Well, there are 5 destinations in particular that people are booking at record numbers. And as travel agents, we see directly in line with the travel industry that this is true. We have been to all 5 of these destinations, but we've made some major mistakes and faux pas when traveling around the world via cruise ship. So this video is going to be your one-stop shop to make sure you do not make the same mistakes that we did when we traveled to these destinations. One of the big destinations that people are booking and traveling to this year is Canada. Canada's fall foliage cruises are becoming more popular than ever. People typically will take off some part in the northeast part of the United States, and they will travel up to see beautiful sights in Canada like Halifax, go down the St. Lawrence River to visit places like Quebec, all while taking in beautiful views of the fall foliage that part of the world has to offer. To see fall foliage, you need to travel in the fall. However, you must travel later in the fall, specifically in the month of October. When we took our fall foliage cruise, we actually went the second week of September, and we had to search out leaves that were not green. Cruise lines like Holland America actually do this route throughout the summer. So people can go up the coast of Canada to Quebec City during the months of July and August, and those months you absolutely will see no fall foliage whatsoever. We thought maybe getting into the middle of September, we would be able to see some beautiful views, especially cruising down the St. Lawrence River, but at the time that we went, none of the leaves have yet turned. I do think seasons have shifted a little bit, and fall foliage is now becoming later and later. So the later you can book your fall foliage cruise up to Canada in the year, the better odds you're going to get of getting the full fall foliage colors and experience that you expect when going on a fall foliage cruise. The next destination that we are seeing booked now more than ever is Greece and cruises to the Greek Isles. And let me tell you this, I wish we would have known what we know now before traveling to Greece the very first time we went. We have gone to Greece twice. Once in the summer towards the end of June, and once during their off-season or shoulder season in February. I will tell you this now, we would go back to Greece time and time again if we could in the month of February. When we went in June, it was extremely hot. The temperatures were in the upper 80s, lower 90s with a lot of humidity. Not only that, the crowds were extremely intense, specifically on the islands of Mykonos and Santorini. The city of Athens was also alive and bustling with people, and it made it really difficult to get around from place to place because of the amount of people that are traveling during the height of travel season. When we went in February, the temperatures were in the 50s and 60s. It was much cooler, and almost no one else was traveling during that time. Now, most cruise lines actually pull their ships out of Greece during the winter months, but you can typically find 1 or 2 ships that will stay there all year round, and this would be my #1 recommendation if you are traveling to Greece and you don't mind the cooler temperatures. Go during the season that is not the height of travel season, because not only will you be able to walk around in a light jacket, you're not going to be fighting any crowds in any of the popular destinations in Greece because people just don't travel there as much during that month. We are taking a group. We're actually having a group cruise go to Greece next March because of how much we loved our experience going to Greece during the off-season months. No one should be surprised that Alaska is making this list. Alaska has become one of the most popular cruise destinations in the world, with more than 40 mainstream cruise ships up in that region this summer. People are visiting Alaska in record numbers, but people don't know that, yes, while there is only one season during the year you can book Alaska, there is definitely better times to go. We have been to Alaska a total of 4 times. 3 of those times were either the last week of August or the first week of September. The 4th time we went was this summer, just a few days ago, and we went the first week of July. We will never go back to Alaska during the first week of July again. The weather was definitely the rainiest it had been across all 4 of our cruises, and the crowds were extremely intense. Now, while we still had a wonderful time in Alaska that week, and many people will travel to Alaska in June and July, we definitely preferred the temperatures, which actually skewed a little warmer towards the end of August, and the sun came out a little bit more. It is Alaska, so you have to remember that that is never guaranteed. You could have a week of rain no matter when you go. But we loved the weather that we got towards the end of August, beginning of September, and we also loved the sales on Alaskan merchandise that we got because it is the end of season. So you have a lot of people closing up shop and trying to sell out of all of their things. If you've been to Alaska, you know it's a great place to go shopping. And we much more preferred the shopping during those months compared to the height of July. Something else to consider when visiting Alaska is think about why you're going. For example, if you're going to fish for salmon, you have to go during salmon season, which doesn't typically start until the 2nd week of June. Another thing to ask yourself is, when do you want to see whales? I will say, we saw the most whales we have ever seen in Alaska when we went in July. And July is the height of the whale season there. So you have to really do your research on Alaska and decide when to go. For us, though, we will be going back again in the end of August or early September. Similarly to Alaska, Norway is another hot itinerary that people are booking more than ever before. Now, when Jared and I visited Norway, we did go the 2nd week of May. It was cold, it was a little rainy, but we did actually like this time of year for visiting Norway. The crowds seemed to be pretty low because it is shoulder season, and we were able to get off the ship and explore Norway very easily. We felt like it was overall a really easy itinerary. There are a couple of things if you're planning a Norway cruise, though, that you must know. First, legislation is constantly changing in terms of cruise ships visiting Norwegian fjords. If you want to visit Norway, the time to go is now. Do not wait, because you never know when things are going to change and ships won't be able to get to certain fjords. They've already taken certain ports off of itineraries, and there's other ports that are scheduled to be removed in the coming years. Our other biggest tip about Norway is that you don't need to plan your excursions in advance. I know that that kind of sounds like this wild idea. However, when we went to Norway, there were so many options for independent excursions right at port that we actually did no excursions through the cruise line whatsoever. This is the only itinerary that I actually think that you can do this very successfully at. Other itineraries, I would always encourage you to book in advance to make sure you get to do what you want to do. But when it comes to Norway, there was so many offerings at every single port that we took advantage of the lower prices by booking off the ship the same day that we were in port. The number one itinerary that people are booking now more than ever before is Japan. Japan has skyrocketed in terms of cruise tourism, and as travel agents, we are absolutely seeing that. More people are traveling to Japan this year than last year, and in 2026, we have almost double the amount of Japan bookings that we do for this year. It makes sense. The ports are incredibly special. You get a very good taste of a different culture while having a nice cruise ship to come home to every single night after exploring at port. And things like the food and shopping are so different in Japan that people are going there in droves. We made a big mistake when we took our trip to Japan. We went in one of the months that is not recommended to travel to Japan, which is August. We actually spent almost the entire month of August in Japan last summer, both doing land travel and taking a 12-night cruise on board the Celebrity Millennium. If we knew what we know now, we would not have gone during that time of year. June, July, and August are the rainiest seasons. It's typhoon season, and the weather is extremely hot. When we were in Japan, we experienced a level of heat and humidity that, to be honest, we have never experienced before. We also had 2 typhoons that month while we were there, which did change our itinerary for our cruise, and we did not get to go see Mount Fuji as we had originally planned. Now, crowds are never going to be avoided in Japan. So if you're looking for a month to travel that won't be quite as crowded, you might have to go in January when it's cold and snowy, but most of the cruise lines don't offer cruises that month. The recommended times to go to Japan are March through May, which is cherry blossom season, so you'll be able to see a lot of cherry blossoms, especially in the April and May months, or October and November, which is their fall foliage, so you can cruise and see incredibly beautiful fall foliage around the country of Japan. It really depends on what you want to get out of your trip in terms of when you will go. If you want to just go to see Japan and visit Japan, I would definitely go on a shoulder month, meaning go right as they start their cruises in early March. If you're wanting to go during something like Golden Week, of course, that takes place at the end of April and beginning of May, but no, that is the most crowded time of year to visit Japan. Or if you're good with the heat and you really don't care about rain and humidity, you could take your chances and go during the summer, but that is not a time that I would personally recommend to travel over that way. All of these destinations are absolutely incredible and destinations that you should cruise to if you are able. But I wanted to take the time today to just share what we did in terms of our mistakes when traveling to these various places. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Have you been to any of these destinations? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Have you found a time to go to one of these destinations that maybe I didn't mention in this video? Let me know in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching. Well, that was it for today. Again, my name is Jordan. This is JJ Cruise, and until next time, see ya.